Hi, good morning. This is Melinda Malavos. How are you? I am so excited to be present here and be able to be of assistance. I've I just want to say a few words about Deepak. I have known him since I was about 10 years old. He was a very dear friend of my parents and really helped my mom heal some things. And I've always been enamored with Ayurvedic medicine and the understanding of heating and cooling systems. And also, the fact that, like for instance, you can eat ginger and be able to deal with digestion issues. You could be able to have the opportunity to heal your body just through proper nutrition. So I just really want to, he is an incredible master of Ayurvedic medicine and a leader, and he's always been amazing. Him and his wife and his family have always been an amazing crew of people. And I'm so excited to be a part of his new center down in Beverly and be able to share. Um, where things got really interesting for me with him is me overcoming terminal cancer. I was diagnosed in '01 with terminal cancer. Well, it started off as breast cancer, and after several lumpectomies, I ended up having to move from New Mexico and go to City of Hope for double mastectomies and reconstructive surgery. After that, due I ended up hit metastasized to my brain and my bones, landing me in a coma for 10 and a half months. And in that 10 and a half months, I had had a life death experience. And when I came back, things were really different for me simply because um, I understood that there was something that created this earth and that we were all connected. And it's not so much, say, religion or church or any of that. As a matter of fact, there is no church up in heaven, in the celestial realm. There is no religion up there. It just is. You either choose to love and choose to be a healer and be an amazing human being and be what you're created to do, or you don't at all and you lose the ability. Um, you know, I had learned while I was up there that all of us have an incredible talent and gift, and unfortunately, some of us are stuck in bad behaviors or bad thinking, which causes bad organs and bad thoughts. And this is something that needed to be repaired when I literally had to face the fact that I had terminal cancer, and I had to understand why I had cancer and sickness. One of the things that had taught me with Dr. Melson, his Doctor of Humanities that travels with him. I don't know, Dr. Melson, are you there? If you're there, hi. And I they taught me that I had been through, even though I was raised with nothing with lack, right? My parents were well to do. We had, estates everywhere. There was, I was a childhood model. My brother was a childhood model. My mom was a famous model. And my dad was in the oil business in Saudi Arabia. And so we were never without lack of anything that we wanted or needed. But what we didn't have was a lot of love and understanding. And what we didn't have was, you know, um, that safety that some people have. Now, I'm not talking about enmeshment and alcoholic behavior or disease thinking. There are a lot of people that say if they're doing it my way, I'm in charge, then it's all right. Well, Shakespeare wrote a poem about that. If everything would just act the way I want them to, everything would be right, right? Well, that's wrong thinking because you're not allowing people to be who they need to be. And this world has become extremely narcissistic in the way, they'll say they love you just so they can have you take care of their needs, but they don't have any intention of healing. They just need you to fix them or fix what they think they need you to fix. So, what I'm going to be talking about today is actually fighting the battle for your brain and your heart and your mind. And, this is really serious now because nowadays, um, it has gotten to a point that there is a battle for your mind. There is a battle for your heart. There is a battle for your soul. And this is really important to understand. Now, when you get on your purpose, um, it's pretty amazing. You get energized. The gift in that is that I actually got the opportunity when I got back from my coma. They threw me in hospice, and I was there a year, and I walked out of hospice, and I was paralyzed from the neck down after my coma, and doctors said I would never walk again. And I just told them, you didn't create my DNA. And your small knowledge has nothing to do with what I'm going to do in this world. And so I, Deepak and the team, and Dalai Lama, and Dr. Nelson, and Dr. Bergman, and Dr. Nathan Rabb, they all helped me understand that I had a choice to heal. I could, and I got to tell you, there was something that was blocking me, okay? And it was my thinking, because I had been taught some really horrible things and belief systems about myself. And it just seemed to be that, the only, in my life, in my experience, which a lot of you can relate to this, is the only reason people want you around them is so you can do everything for them. Sometimes the only thing they want is a gift. They don't value you or the gift of you. They just need you to be their little slave, so called. And, and then so they can not take responsibility for themselves. They can blame you because you were supposed to do it. So there are a lot of people that are professional victims in this world, and they set everything up according to that, right? So I want to challenge you guys today that, today we are not a victim. Today we are amazing human beings. Today we get to choose. You know what? They can be, people can act the way they act, but that's not the way we act, right? Just because we stand up and against these narcissists and we say no, the biggest problem in society is their narcissism, right? And if you look at it in an incredible way, I actually threw a graph because I'm actually completing a book that's going to be on iTunes probably in the next couple days. Um, and they are, talking about choosing what we eat, right? And that means even like with TV, even, some people, they say, oh, I'm a Christian, I live so great. And it's all delusion, because when they're not telling themselves they're Christian, they're actually putting people down, causing drama in their life, and jealous of their successes. And, from what I've heard from all the ancient books, including the Book of the Living Dead and the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Book of Enoch, all three of them, um, all 66 laws of Luminous, and all these kind of things. The crazy thing that is really important is that, forgiveness is one of the biggest tools of healing, right? Understanding that I have the ability to heal. And part of that has to start with me. So, in my healing and beating terminal cancer, I had to forgive my parents and understand that they were taught in doing the best they can. Now, I don't know how many of you out there have had rifts with their family and their parents and things like this. Some parents have been really bad. Some people have had no parents. Some people have been abused. Some people have been sexually abused. Some people have been abandoned and adopted into horrible families. And some people just have been around alcoholic, sick family, that there's an enmeshment and a system that is toxic and they feed off each other. And that is a very dangerous thing. So, if you're in around those environments, you grow up having to jump through hoops, and it breeds narcissism in incredible ways. And so, some of the people, whether they're stroke victims or trauma-based victims or so forth, I have actually seen them get worse in their situations because they choose to blame everybody outside of them instead of look at what am I doing to be wrong. Some people are really self-entitled, that they think that the world is here to serve them because don't they know how great they are? Well, you know what? Because I learned that you were sick 7 years before you actually become sick, right? And that's before it shows up on medical devices. So when you go, you can do an MRI 7 years before you're diagnosed with cancer, and they're not going to see anything, right? And that's been proven over and over and over, whether it's diabetes, whether it's lymphoma, whether it's any form of cancer, whether it's kidney failure, whether it's whatever. We didn't get sick overnight, so we don't. It's going to take time to heal. And expecting other people to do it for us is not what's going to work. Part of understanding, when I first came back after that coma, I was really mad because I had been taught that God doesn't like little girls like me, right? So, and the great creator doesn't like little girls like me. And so the interesting thing was that I had to learn that he had a greater thing and purpose for me. He had the most amazing purpose for me. But the thing is that I had learned that paradigm that I was invaluable. And so I keep ending up around people that don't value me, but just get, act and say like they love me and lie to my face, right? And so, in the flip side, I'm giving my all to them, and they're just taking, 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 taking. So what that does is that doesn't take care of you. That actually is soul vampires, and those are soul suckers. And what they do is they actually, they're parasitical people. And what they do is they actually suck your energy dry, so you're not capable of healing. You're not capable of being free from them, because they'll only validate you if you're doing it. So they're highly manipulative. So that's part of that spiritual battle. That's part of that spiritual battle for your brain, for your heart, and for your mind. And in Ayurvedic medicine, from what I've learned, is that we have to be able to, be free from people like that. We have to be able to be free from things that harm us in such an incredible way. And so I think it's really important that we understand what it means to be a warrior. So I just really, I know I have some time, and I really want to just say, as becoming a warrior of the brain and body, I want to let people know that, first of all, as a disclaimer, I'm going to be sharing some things with you that are presented, and they're new thought, new things. And if you're on medication or doing, working with some medical doctors on something, I'm not telling you to go get off your medication. I am not, even though I have training and working on PhDs, I am not telling you that. Do not know your cases on by phone. So do not, I'm telling you to be very safe with yourself, because in taking accountability for your own health and your own body and who you are, it is important to understand that we don't mess around with this. Okay? It is necessity that you understand, okay, that if you're here right now and you're listening to this, which Deepak really wanted me to express, was that today we're going to choose life. Today we are going to choose healing in every aspect, in every form. It is really important to understand these things. Um, I I have gotten the opportunity to be on both sides of the track. When I was really sick and in hospice, I was incapable of understanding that it was my thinking that was getting me sick. I had no understanding that it was what I was taught to believe about myself that was keeping me from healing the incredible possibilities. And it was also my understanding that it was that thinking of me being worthless that kept me around people that didn't give a damn about my well being. They would do a little bit just so they can make sure they got theirs, right? And those are parasitical people. It's not like we want people to bend over backwards for us and do all these things. It's not that. But you know what? Healthy people live in camaraderie and they love each other and they value each other. They don't have hidden agendas. So, you got to, and when people have hidden agendas, when you set a boundary with them and they get pissed off and all hell breaks loose, you know that their heart's not in the right place. So I really want to communicate about that. If you believe you're in need of medical intervention, I suggest you communicate not only with your doctor but with the doctors who are there with you right now and see what you could do to take best action in proactivity of your life and your situation. Now, I have learned, with me with breast cancer, it's generational hate and generational resentments from the women's side of my family. And I had to be willing, I'm the first one out of 18 generations to be free from this hate and anger. I am also um, very, very, new at was new at understanding that I can have a better quality of living, right? I didn't believe it because I believed that better quality of living was having all the things because I was raised with all the things. But I found out very quickly as a child that even if you have all the things and you don't take care of matters of the heart and the soul, you're worthless, So a lot of people in this world are just like, oh, some people just let opportunities pass them by. They don't want to take no risk to heal, feel, or deal. They just want to completely, um, like expect everybody to do everything for them. So I really want to encourage that right now, that we just take a moment and we understand that we are valuable, we are worthwhile. The other thing that's really important too is understanding that in taking responsibility for my own life and in my healing is that I get to learn the word no. And I get to learn the words, it's not me. Because people will project onto you. And that happens to me all the time. When I set boundaries, if I'm around really toxic people, and passive aggressive people, because sometimes when you're healing or trying to work with people and they don't get the results they have because they don't look at themselves, they like to blame you and project you and then make you the enemy so they don't have to look at themselves. Because as long as they project onto you, they don't have to heal their mind, body, and soul and understand that they have to accept that they have been doing the wrong and that they're the ones hurting you and they're the ones pushing away the miracle that can heal them. So, those are really, really strong words. And I understand that's very, very important. So, I also, yeah, I have some notes here. So, um, you can optimize your health by, doing better today than you did yesterday. So, sometimes when we're dealing with sickness and maladies, we are dealing with, um, you know, I don't want to get out of bed. I am feeling weak. I'm not feeling strong enough. I don't want to go out. I don't want to do. I don't want to go work out. I don't feel like eating. I don't feel like these kind of things are coming up when we're when you're in a professional victim mode. You get up because you got to prove a point, not because you genuinely care about yourself, right? It's a pattern. Some people thrive on the chaos of all that stuff. So I'm challenging you guys right now. If you're going to heal, the best way to do that is to eliminate the ability of thinking that you can't get up out of bed. You know, um, I have learned that I have to get up every day and make my bed. I have to, although my bed's not made right now. Sorry, I've not been able to sleep the last few nights because I was preparing and making sure everything was okay. You know, I also got to say, warriors are not born and made warriors to create themselves. Let me start that all over. Warriors are not born, they're made to create themselves. Throughout trial and error, their ability to conquer their own faults. So, this is something that I understood in healing from cancer and healing my body. You can imagine being paralyzed from the neck down. I had no movement on my legs and body. And yeah, according to the medical doctors, I shouldn't be walking. According to everybody that knew me back then, they saw me, including Deepak, they saw me how immobile, how paralyzing my thinking, my living, my ideas were, everything were so horrible that it caused so much friction. Okay. I think it's really, really important to understand that the minute I started forgiving myself, like for instance, there were things in my family system. My parents were alcoholics and addicts. As children, we dealt with a lot of stuff and a lot of hurt. And my dad and mom were both extremely abusive, and their friends were extremely abusive. And I just got into a pattern in life of being around that chaos and abuse because it was what I learned and what I knew best, right? Even though it hurt and even though it was messed up, it really was what was comfortable. So in facing that, I had to forgive myself for being part of the system of alcoholism and with my family. And I also had to understand that I had learned a lot of bad habits from my parents and take responsibility for those habits and say, for me, it stops here, it stops now. Because those behaviors and those things get in the way of my being my best. Um, I think it's also really important. Many of us have family members that are ill or have been very sick and have, um, and we've all been there. People don't want to say, "Oh, well, they're sick because of this." No, they don't want to look at themselves. They'd rather. We've been taught in the medical society in Western world that if we go take a pill, we get a chemical reaction and change of action, right? And change of sickness. And this is something very, very, very important. So we don't want to do that, right? So I just really want to encourage people to understand that, we do have the availability to be able to share with everybody the gift of I get to choose to heal now, and no one gets in the way of what I'm doing, right? Um, the other thing, if you want to win and take over the battle of your mind, and the mind is the worst part about it is the thinking. So, I gotta say, there are really difficult people around the world, and they can treat you bad, and they can set you up for failure and sabotage you, and laugh about it and not care. But when it comes time for you to stand up to them and not put up with their crap, all of a sudden you're a bad person, and they're giving you silent treatment or they're doing whatever. And I got to tell you, those are very sick people because they want you to engage and focus in their negativity so that you don't do what your purpose is. Because, see, if they got off their butt and did something for themselves, they wouldn't be in the situation they are. Because, victims really hate being victims because it's exhausting keeping up with the lies they tell themselves every day. It's exhausting living a lie, right? To act like everything's perfect when nothing is really perfect, right? And to really act like everything's just right, when everything isn't right at all, but because they don't have the ability to speak forth the reality or the truth, their inability to face themselves and admit their wrongs are keeping them from healing in relationships and healing with their bodies and healing with their minds and having a soulful existence. Um, you know, um, it is an incredible gift to be able to have a vibrant, victorious life of abundance. This is incredible. You know, it's never about, in order to have a life about, I know a lot of people that believe if I have the best weight, I'm going to starve myself. I'm going to only need salads, which are only like, water, which is very dangerous. Because, if you're going to drink water, waking up and drinking 40 ounces of water is really good. Um, you know, I, in my healing, I found out that there are a lot of people that are not going to have the heart and the love that you have for people. And people are incapable of reciprocating things back. And if you're a master and healer like I am, there's a lot of disappointment in my life because there is this imbalance of, like Deepak, when he goes and heals and works with people and things like this, he doesn't like, we have to let go of what other people think and say about us, because a lot of things that we have overcome already and what we teach is also about truly healing at the core level. And there are so many people that are just on a shallow level that they don't understand what it is to heal the mind, body, and soul, right? They just want you to make it better for them, but they don't want to take responsibility for it because then they don't want to be a failure. Because, see, if they're failed, they've already failed their life. They've already failed their family. They've already failed in everything that they do. So they're just waiting to die. And that's why they don't take initiative. So, I got to say that, um, I'm trying to figure this out like right now. Okay, so I I know that, food is important for us. Okay? It's a magnificent part of our lives. The food matters so much that it manufactures the food manufacturers actually advertise, have noticed, exploiting the consumers, that every day for the past many centuries they've been working on fabrication of foods, getting flavors in foods that taste better than the natural food and living food. Truly getting in the way of, the war of health is that the food industries have been winning for way too long. And they've been, hijacking our taste buds and our brain and our body for decades, causing us to have incredible amounts of disease. And we've actually become a prisoner disease, whether it's disease of our thinking, disease of our minds, disease of our hearts, disease of our bodies, these kind of things. And, it is not okay. And today we should say, I'm not going to let the big pharma take over my life anymore. I'm not going to let the Food and Death Administration take over our life. I'm not going to allow bad, toxic people to take over our life, you know. Um, and it's really hard because they're so demanding on the attention they think they deserve or need from us, because they're parasites. They are parasitical people who need our attention because they need our attention to validate their insanity, right? And when we don't invalidate their insanity, they don't have anything to feed on. So then they go sideways and start, passive aggressively trying other ways to attack you because they can't get you to engage with them. So, um, you know, after years of being a chef of eliminating disease, I have found that, food is needed to, in order to be in the health and wellness industry, I found out that, food has to be delicious. It has to be able to be simply prepared. And because not everybody is a chef, right? So, the other thing is, it also has to be easily packed for the road. Something that's really interesting about this is that, I don't know how many people work and travel. Just in LA alone, going down the 405 for 4 hours to get to work and 4 hours to get back, you waste like 8 hours a day just in traffic, listening to right minded music and listening to and eating right food, making sure you're drinking water. Things like that would also be very helpful in those situations. But unfortunately, because we are bombarded with fast food and all these kind of things that go on, um, we're incapable of seeing the actual fact that we actually have been totally bombarded with the ability to be unhealthy. It's a choice. It's a conscious choice to be healthy every day. Something else that's really important is being healthy, building strength, and improving brain function. Um, Brain nutrition is focused on simple nutritional principles that will give you into perfect healing and joyous life. Um, High quality calories, like for instance, avocados, berries, red walnuts are amazing for your brain. Avocados, garlic, what else? Apricot seeds, avocado seeds. If you get avocado seeds and you blend them in a blender when you're doing your smoothies or anything, that is pretty amazing. It helps rebuild the brain barrier. Um, I I know that a lot of people are suffering today. Um, I know that there are a lot of things that are been very difficult. I know that whether you have lost, excuse me, I had to sneeze. um, I do know that whether you have um, had loss in your life, whether you have toxic people around you, whether you have hard things that you're dealing with, you're stressed out with your business, you're stressed out with work, any of these things that happen, I I know that you can transform it and make it into an incredible thing. I think it's important to understand, you know, when you're working on your diet, it's important to work on healthy fats. Um, Sorry about that. I um, I think it's important to understand that fat is good for the brain. It feeds the brain. So we look for essential fats like in avocado, coconut oil, coconut milk. Here we go. I don't know. And where I'm at, there's been a lot of blooms and stuff. So I don't know. Um, I think it's important to understand how avocado is amazing for our body and amazing for what we do. Um, I also want to express how important our food is when it's clean. It's important to understand that clean food actually feeds the levels of our body, our cellular level, our making sure that we're getting the highest nutrients possible. So when I say clean food, when we do water, making sure that water is purified or alkaline water, right? And if you don't have an alkaline machine, you can always use lemon in water. You can put blueberries and mint, raspberries. There's different recipes. If you like to have some more recipes of that, you can actually go on Pinterest and see some of what they've been doing. Um, if you're having trouble with your mood and memory and so forth like that, it's because you've not been eating enriched energy food. Um, I like to be able to have healthy food around me at all times. Yeah, I know. It's like, wow. Pardon me. I've been getting over this flu I've been battling for a moment. I've literally see and teaching some of this stuff is has been just a release, right? Because as I heal and I continue to heal, I become better, right? So I think it's important, to keeping your brain strong and really fighting. We'll always be surrounded by companies and people that don't value us and don't value the health system and don't value the implicate order of life and things, right? And there will always be people around us that like to take and make things theirs and there'll always be people like that. But you know what? We don't have to choose to be like that. When we say on a higher vibration, you know, and it's interesting because, for instance, there are people that get upset and accuse me of giving them silent treatment. But what is interesting is like, what are they really talking about? And what do you really have to pay attention to? Some people just talk about nothing at all. They could be going on and on and on and on about stuff that doesn't even matter. It's like, why don't we talk about what it's going to take for you to get better? What it's going to take for you to get right? What it's going to take for you to get a better quality of life and get out of the rut that you're in and get out of the sickness that you're in. And but birds of a feather flock together. And I used to get really mad when people said that to me, but I got to find out that, wow, okay, I understand that because when you're healing and taking a choice to heal, people around you heal. Okay? And if people around you don't heal when you're healing, they're getting pissed off that your life is getting better. They're pissed off that you're getting better opportunities. They're pissed off that they are not getting the successes that you are. And so they go to sabotage. And because they don't want you better than them. So I really want to talk about getting away from toxic relationships because toxic relationships actually cause incredible disease in so many people. Um, they make people who feel good about themselves actually doubt who they are. And when you doubt who you are and have to second guess who you are because of their bad thinking, they're projecting disease onto you and they're speaking death and disease over you. And the way they're doing it is by making you doubt that you are actually worthwhile because they're not getting the results that they want. And this is incredibly, incredibly dangerous. I really want to encourage people to understand that today we don't have to do that. Um, and we don't have to. I know that there's a lot of things in this world that are keeping people from thinking that I mean, I even have a situation now where I'm having to deal with some, people trying to keep me in bondage of their thinking, right? And I've had to just like, whatever, do me, forget about what their idea is, their agenda. I quickly found out that originally they wanted me to work with them and help heal them. But then I quickly found out that they didn't want me to heal. They just needed a garbage can. and they needed someone to dump all their crap on and to gossip with and to cause more toxicity. And I didn't want to be a part of that. So I stepped back and let them be on amongst themselves, and that was enraging to them. So that dealing with that and working and continuing to do what is all set before me, that's the other thing, is like, in spite of them and the faces all around, I'm still going to get up and serve greatness, right? I'm still going to get up, because if they don't want to heal, that doesn't matter. There are people waiting right now to be able to hear and overcome and get hope from being able to know that they can choose their life right now. You can heal right now. You can overcome all things. And the fact, when you're on your purpose, there is going to be resistance in this world from everything. And one of the things I really learned lately is to not give a damn about rejection. I heard something that rejection is God's protection. And rejection also is, the universe's way of getting you entangled with these people that like to just cast their webs out, right? And people like that. People like that, who do that, they spread disease in so many areas, and they speak it over people, and people end up really sick. And so you see a whole community or whole family, and they claim, oh, well, so and so is sick like this, and it's me now, and blah blah, and they take on, what are you speaking about yourself, right? You're speaking the disease that they are speaking of about you. So it's really important to understand that in choosing to have take control of your health, and understand that you can choose to have a better quality of life. um I had a client not too long ago, and they were 50 pounds overweight. They came to me always tired. Um, they they cared for others, but not self, which is, I will go into in just a moment. Um, you know, there are a lot of people that say, I care for you, but they say that because they need you to give them what they need, because they're living vicariously through you, because they're not willing to fail themselves. They're not even willing to take the risk. So they really don't even value themselves. So how are they going to truly value you? Um, they get easily, he was getting easily distracted. He had a history of multiple concussions and, um, aneurysms and brain injuries, because he was a football player. He had trouble focusing. He was very moody. He had a history of cancer metastases, and he had a hormonal imbalance, and digestive problems, which was the migraines, right? You get the migraines, you have head trauma. It's hard to focus, because all I can focus on is the pain. It's hard to deal with some of the things that go on, right? So I really want to let you know, like, I worked with his diet. I got him doing some meditation. In the meditation that we were focusing on understanding that we're born in the mind of God, that we'll never die. See, I learned up there in the celestial realm that death is away from our purpose, that when you walk away from who you're supposed to be, and you choose to believe the lie of this dimension, third dimension, which is temporal. The reality is that, if you attain, like this, for instance, if I look at this cup and I say, well, I actually have some coffee in there, but it's my past and my understanding of the past that says, well, I know that this is going to hold coffee or something to drink in it, so I understand that. But in reality, in the celestial realm, this is all an illusion, right? So what is real is my attention. What is real is my heart. What is real is my soul, right? So the fact is like it's very important. And when I got this through him, he actually understood it, said, oh yeah, that does make sense, very much so. And sorry, the dogs, my roommate's dog's out of control sometimes, so sorry about the barking. um I also, I not only did I work with him on his diet, I worked on him on meditating. I also gave him the opportunity to take back his life in several ways. One, in his thinking, right? People who, there's so many times when um, we've been around toxic people that we get sick, and then we decide we want to stand up and start working on things. And then we realize that we have to have these sick people around sometimes because we need them, right? And our need of them and their toxicity, like for instance, my mother was very, very sick person, very manipulative and very conniving. So when she would say something, it was hard for me to believe that that's what she really meant. So when she said, I really care about you, I didn't believe her. But then when I got sick, I really needed her to say, oh, I really care about you, because I thought she really did, right? But in actuality, she would come and tell me she cared about me because of her idea that her showing up was just doing that, but in actuality, it was keeping intact the sickness, right? So I shared with my friend, my client, what he could do to change that, and he did. And the miracle that happened was that he was able to get a voice again. And in this voice, it's not so much, you go off in cuss words and everything like that. Although some people, they can't live life without toxicity and incredible drama. Um, but they do have to be able to manipulate and connive you. So the to say no and not engage was an incredible gift for him. And to just go on and not care about what they say, right? Because some people are so bored out of their minds. They have nothing going on but talking crap about you. They have nothing going on in their life except the excitement you bring in and life you bring into them. And so they want to project their insanity onto you. And all you could say, I'm not your projection. I am not I'm just your mirror. And what you say about me goes straight back to you, right? So these are really hard things when we talk about, battling the mind, battling the heart, and, being strong to say no. Today I choose healing. Today I choose health. I don't have to put up with bad behavior. I don't have to, be a prisoner of your war. I have the choice to lose. I have the choice to win. I have the choice to do whatever I feel I need to do. So, one of the things I got to teach this my client is that um he with all the stuff and maladies he'd had, I got to teach him through my experience. I learned that you could retrain your brain. Imagine that. You could retrain your brain to go back to symbiotic healing. And symbiotic healing is understanding that, your organs and spiritual life is all there, right? Just because you may have had surgery and they took an organ out of your body doesn't mean it's not spiritually there. Because in wholeness and in whole mind and body, our whole spirit is still there, right? So, excuse me. So it's important to understand that. And I found that out because of the fact that, I had a lot of surgeries during cancer and my bout with cancer, and they took a lot of things out of my body, right? And so to have them heal again was really incredible. And to be able to have the opportunity to heal again was amazing. So I gotta say that in these meditations and parts of his body that had been taken out, I taught him how to do a meditation that actually would bring, that he could go inside his brain and he could go there with the mass creator, and the creator of this universe, and he could go in with the creator and they would rebuild the parts of his brain that were in malady, right? And they could redo this all over again. I think it's really important to understand that this is what is key for so many things. Um, I also think that what's really important too is, um, understand that, if we're created in greatness and we're created in the likeness of God, where we can create things, we have flexibility to be able to have the best life possible. So there, we don't have to actually be in the way of ourselves anymore, you know. And in the battle for the mind, when we're around toxicity, the toxicity actually convinces us that we are the toxic thing, and we take that internally, and that internality, that intern when we internalize that, we become toxic, right? So then they can prove, see, I told you they were toxic, see, I told you, I told you, I told you, right? And in reality, that's not it at all. So if you are here today and you feel that you're in a toxic reality, today say, I am no longer toxic. Today I remove the toxicity out of my life. Today I choose life and to live greatly. Today I choose to have the best life possible. Today my body, my mind, my soul will become whole in all areas of my life. From my left brain to my right brain to my cerebellum, my gray matter, to my neck, to my lungs, to my heart, to my liver, my kidneys, my legs, my stomach, my pancreas, if you have one, my kidneys, my intestines, my muscles, my capillaries, my blood, my lymphatic system, my eyes, my sense, my taste, my hearing, my hair, my epidermis, all these things, and all 62 trillion cells of the body, or 82 trillion cells of the body, they all come into agreement that we are going to live the best life possible. I think it's important to understand that, just because other people behave poorly doesn't mean we have to. And, people, um, in the battle for the mind, if you notice around these toxic people, they want you to eat a lot of sugar, they eat a lot of salt, they eat a lot of fat, because they are living on the lower realm of reality. They live, you know, um, an artificial life, because the real life is living right. The real life is eating right, living right, being an incredible human being, and healing the masses. And, you know, um, we're created to be something amazing and do amazing things. But if you are not living your purpose, you are just a soul sucker and parasite of society, because you are taking from society instead of giving to society what your great gift of who you are is. And this is really important to understand. Um, Sometimes they say the greater the resistance is greater the purpose that you will be living. Um, After my client had time with me, and was able to work with me over a period of 3 years, he was, he realized that he was too busy taking care of other people that didn't really care about him, you know, um, and he didn't take care of himself. So he made a point to at least once a day, twice a day, take the point to take care of himself. He never realized how much it was affecting his brain. And he focused on energy. He started getting better focus. He got better energy, and his weight was better than he'd ever had before. He lost his 50 pounds, and he started working out, and he started eating incredible, and it started changing his life. Just incorporating living food, incorporating great things that come together. Um, I think something else, I had another client that you might understand, they had lack of hope for the future, the addiction ruined their life, they're bloated, overweight, brain fog, their lack of motivation, and just no confidence, right? After a year working with me, they gained control of all their cravings. They understood that, they were using food as a way to deal with their hurt and their pain and suffering. And they lost about 38 pounds. And they began having hope for the future. They began to come and understand that there was something great, and they their brain fog cleared, and they gained confidence in themselves, and they stopped eating sugars and alcohol and all these kind of things that get in the way of toxicity of what you have to do with. um you can't start. um I learned something really important. You can't train for a fight the day of the fight, right? You have to prepare and get ready to, be strong and for the opponent, right? And you have to have your mind strong, and you have to have your body strong, and you have to have your heart strong, and preparing for battle takes a lot of information. Preparing for battle takes a lot of focus, because there are a million things to deter you off what you have to do. Um, and they're not allowed to do horrible things. Um, Moderation is actually mediocrity. I gotta say, some people say, well, I will go and I won't eat a double cheeseburger, but I'll just eat a burger with no cheese, right? And before they know it, they're still eating horrible food. They're still not taking care of their body, right? So I know it's really hard. I like a good In-N-Out burger, but we have to make the choice to do what's right. Um, you know, um, we gotta, there have been many clients of mine that I've had where I've actually had to go and we clean and purge out their pantry, and we get rid of all the food that could be toxic for them in their lives. And sometimes these people want to give homeless people their food, right, that they're getting rid of. And it's like, well, homeless people don't need that toxicity. They need nutrients, right? Or they go give it to their local church, which is handouts to the sick and homeless and needy. And so, we really struggle. It just enrages. Or they send it to the troops. Well, why do the troops need to have tons of sugar and stuff that kills their brain when they're actually fighting for our country and fighting for us to be able to have freedom, right? So in taking a choice to actually have better quality of life, we start saying no to a lot of things that we normally are incapable of saying no to. So we make a choice, and we have to ask ourselves, why haven't we been making the choice? Right? Why haven't we? And if we go back down to and we actually make the whole list down why we have not been making the choice, most of us would, if 85 to 150 of us or 100% of us would say, because I was scared I was going to be rejected. I was scared I was not going to be valuable. I was scared I was not going to be worthwhile. I was scared that it wouldn't matter. Well, you know what? There are a lot of times when what I say doesn't matter to people. There are a lot of times when people don't take me seriously, or I'm not valued, right? Or the gift that I bring to the table is not valued. But that's not because I'm not valuable. So we have to stop equating other people's bad behaviors as our reality. See, our reality is not their reality. They're spewing out and throwing up sickness all over themselves and other people because that's all they have. They don't have anything else because they've been incapable of being honest with themselves. So, in today, being honest with yourselves, we're saying we're not going to do that to other people. We're going to actually overcome and do something great. I really want to, you know, and just doing that alone and saying I am going to do the best, have the best life possible, it's actually coming to the point that we're saying, you know what, I get the opportunity to choose my life and take charge of my life. So I get the opportunity to actually say, you know, I'm not a trash can, you know, and I'm going to eat right and I'm going to live right. And we don't have to, put up with people's bull. We don't. We are not here on this earth to be doing that. We are here on this earth to do what we have been created to do. And if you've been created to write, you need to write every day. If you've been created to be a musician, you need to be studying and doing your music every day. If you have been created to be a teacher, you need to do what it takes to be a teacher and start teaching. You just need to get into action to what you are. Um, because when we're not in action of who and what we are, we're allowing that battle of war to happen to us. We're allowing um, that war to win and take us over. So I really want to encourage you all to know that we don't have to put up with it, and if it stops with you, just like it stopped with me, my children um, didn't have the hurt and the maladies that I was raised with, because at a very young age, I got the opportunity to understand that I could change my legacy. I got the opportunity that to know that I could change my bloodline. And just because my mom and dad acted like a fool doesn't mean I get to act like a fool, right? And before you know it, what ended up happening is that my mom and dad couldn't engage with me anymore because they were not willing. They weren't able to actually, when they don't engage with you, when you don't engage with toxicity, and they just stop coming to you because they need to find people that they can, you know mess with and everything, because don't they know they're more important in their self-righteousness and their self-delusion. So when I was focused on healing and dealing and feeling, it took them away from that. So we were able, unfortunately they died, and they passed away, and with all that bitterness and hurt and everything, and I was able to forgive them and move forward and not have identity crisis. I was able to embrace that I'm the best part of them. I was able to embrace that, my dad was in, if I take away all the crap of my family, I was able to understand that I have an incredible business mind just like my dad. But I'm going to use it for goodness and feeding people and doing the good things that actually build lives and build people's hearts, minds, and bodies and souls. And I found out, like, one of the things, the older that I get, my mother was really beautiful, but I was kind of the odd sheep of the family because I was not pigmented. My mom was very fair skinned and very ginger like. My dad was very dark and very, you know, strong features of the from Saudi. So the I felt like I was just ugly ducky because you know, I had this complex. I'm not like my mom. I'm not like my dad, so I don't belong anywhere, right? Well, today I've embraced and understood that I'm perfect just the way I am, you know, and it's okay. I can be who I need to be. And, you know, and the funny thing is, you know, when I was out there doing bad things, no one ever told me anything. But now that I'm doing good things, all of a sudden people are upset about things. It's just really weird how, you know, the universe and the tables turned. And so when I was dealing with my client about this and sharing these things that I had been through with them, it helped them understand, like, wait a minute, you know, my dad's brother and men in the family all lived a certain way. So like in the rites of passage, they had found out that, you know, that their culture did a lot of drinking. Their rites of passage, like by the time they were 10 years old, they were already able to drink whiskey or tequila, you know, and so they thought that that was acceptable behavior to do with the other men. So it caused, you know, every time they wanted to be cool or whatever, it caused offense. False sense of reality and a false sense of identity, right? So when it came time to realize that that was not what was real, it was really hard to let go because that false of identity really didn't do much, but they found out destroyed relationships, destroyed so much in them, right? So I really want to encourage you today to understand that wherever you are right now, you can cause a preface and a circle for yourself, and um you don't have to put up with people, you know, you don't have to um you know you don't have to in any way shape or form put up with their bad behavior. You can say no and you can choose your own behavior, and it's very amazing. We can win this war against the brain, mind, and spirit. And I just, you know, you can start training right now. You know, I do have, you know, a program, Golden Beats True Nutrition, you know, and it deals with the mind, body, and soul. It is $25,000, and it does, you know, it is incredibly due to accountability and so forth. You will be having exercises, recipes. I will be coming to your home and helping you understand what it is to take. I will be helping you get more quality of life and so forth, me and my team. You know, if I'm not there cooking and teaching you, my sous chef will, or another member of my team. So if you, you know, you can reach me at 714-876-8665. You can also you know, call me. You know, if you're working on a deadline or something like that, we can work through, you know, fast training, so forth. There's so many options that we can do, but I really do bio individuality. I understand that we're all unique, we're all different people, and our needs are all different. So I like to get your blood type. I like to understand your bio individuality, your ethnicity. I like to understand all these factors because I need to understand the genetic codes that you've been told. Because the sooner you find your genetic code that you've been given as a purpose, the quicker it is for you to heal, feel, and deal. So that is my job here on this earth, to make sure that people know that they can remember who they are and what they were created for, and not given to the battle on the mind, the battle of the heart, the battle of the soul. It is so important to understand that. So I want to thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and share with you all. I want to thank you for all your support, all my fans. I want to say thank you. I wouldn't been here without your love and unconditional love and understanding. And I just, all those who believe in me, I just want to say thank you. And thank you so much for the opportunity. And I look forward to seeing you and sharing more.